Hey everybody, guess who I'm with? I'm with the amazing reporter Jordan Cheriton from TYT Politics. Hey Jordan, how are you?
Hey Jimmy, how's it going?
It's going great, buddy. So tell me, I just want to really quickly, you're on a breaking story there in North Carolina. There's more stuff in the water in North Carolina. And can you tell us what's going on? And then I have a video I'm going to play that you made today. So go ahead and tell us what's going on in North Carolina.
Yeah, so like in Flint, Chicago, countless other areas now, industry corporations are dumping toxic chemicals in drinking water sources and, and getting away. So DuPont, which is not exactly a gold star company, has been attributed to the wrongful deaths and contamination, illnesses in the Ohio River Valley, among other places. DuPont makes a chemical called Gen X. It's used to make Teflon, and they just found a lot of this in the Cape Fear River. Cape Fear River serves 500,000 people in the Wilmington, North Carolina region. And of course, the corporation is saying, oh, don't worry, low risk, not a lot. And the city and the state uh, in North Carolina, as well as the EPA, don't really have any answers for the citizens whether their drinking water is safe.
So what I'm to understand is this is a company that's been operating about 18 miles upriver from the city, correct? And what's been going on is that
Correct.
they're not. You're not allowed to put these Gen X chemicals into the water if you're making Teflon. But if you're making vinyl, the EPA doesn't have a regulation for that. And so that's why they're allowed to keep doing this. Am I wrong about that? Because I watched the press conference and that's what I took away from it.
No, you're right. And what's stunning to me anyway is this whole like they get around it through a loophole because it's going out in vinyl. Well, they've also been dumping it out of their Teflon plant. And the EPA in 2009, when they gave them permission, they had switched from a really toxic chemical C8 to Gen X. It's basically the same thing, slightly different compound. The EPA said you cannot dump this in drinking water. Well, they've been dumping it in the Cape Fear River. So you would think, all right, well, they violated the EPA order. So we're going to shut these people down right away. Of course not, Jimmy. So the company said they're not going to stop manufacturing the Teflon product and using Gen X. They will try to eliminate 100% of the Gen X byproduct. And the EPA, from everything I can see, is saying, well, it's out of our jurisdiction. The city says it's out of our jurisdiction. The state officials say it's out of our jurisdiction, and the EPA says it's out of our jurisdiction. So my guess is it's corporate welfare. I've begun to look at which of these politicians take money from DuPont and its subsidiaries. Shocker, a lot of them do.
And so no one's doing anything about this, but the people, so the water literally coming out of the pipes have been found to have this Gen X chemical in it, or it's just been found in the river?
Well, the river is where they get their drinking water. So they get the water from the river. It's just, Flint got it from the Flint River, went to the water treatment plant, then through the pipes into the home. So it's that same record spinning over and over. And what's really crazy, Jimmy, first of all, the company and the city and the state did not tell there for years. It was first detected, Gen X, in the river in 2012, 2013. They didn't say anything. And then in November, the Public Utilities Department here, they did a study which found it. They didn't say anything. In this case, one of the rare cases, there was good local media that broke the story here in North Carolina. So if the media did not break the story, then these people would still be drinking the water with no problem. I don't like to fearmonger, but I always tell the audience when I'm in Flint, East Chicago here, it's not some faraway land that doesn't affect you because there are industries everywhere in America dumping shit in water. There are industries everywhere in America trying to cover things up. If you remember, DuPont for decades covered up the lethal effects of C8, and this year they paid almost $1 billion, a billion with a B, almost $1 billion in dozens and dozens of class action lawsuit. This chemical, it's switched from C8 to Gen X. We have testicular cancer, pancreatic cancer, rectal cancer, liver disease, autoimmune issues in females, tested in animals, premature birth, as well as giving birth to chronically low weight rats. And, the scientists that the company hires say, oh, well, can't really take anything from testing animals. Well, of course, the scientists paid by the companies say that, but independent scientists have found very troubling in their studies that said, yeah, these can, in animals, the effects can mimic in humans. So there's a lot of scared people here. And it just shows you, Jimmy, bottom line, this country runs on corporate welfare. It's the United Corporations of America. They don't give a shit about the people. And in what world would I asked the question at the press conference, all right, well, you're studying now further the effects of this on humans. Shouldn't you shut down production while you don't know? They look at me like I'm like a deer in the headlight.
I know. I saw you ask that question, and what was interesting to me is that he's asking the company to voluntarily do it. That's the mayor is asking the company to voluntarily do it. And the company said that they're going to try this thing that they think will get rid of the Gen X chemical in the water within 30 days. And if that doesn't work, then it's going to take a lot longer. So what they're saying is we're not stopping polluting. We're going to keep putting this chemical into your drinking water, and there's nothing you can do about it. And by the way, there's nothing the government's going to do about it. So that's what they're saying, correct? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. And by the way, Jimmy, if you and I go drinking in L.A. or wherever, and we go pee in a water source, we're going to jail, okay? We're going to jail overnight. We're going to be fucked around with. But if they release toxic chemicals that we have the data, can cause all these things, well, they're going to be able to continue dumping it. And by the way, this is like, all right, so they are in large part the EPA in these cases. They take the data from the company. This would be like me asking Goldman Sachs to do a report on widespread financial fraud to send into the Treasury Department. It's ludicrous. It's insane. These companies have it in their entire interest is to their shareholders themselves. Not that Ty and I, my cameraman, have been going around. Like in Flint, like in East Chicago, not everybody knows. Not everybody knows about poor education, poverty, just haven't watched the news. So people are still drinking water. It's not just water, by the way. Think about all the things that are made up of water, fountain sodas, beer. And this river has a lot of seafood, which they export to states like Maryland. Like that stuff might have been doused with definitely was doused with Gen X. So it is not just a local North Carolina problem. And by the way, Jimmy, so for a second, you would think the Democratic Party in a swing state that went to Trump might want to say something about this, right? Like, we're coming and we're fighting for you, orangutan, but we're going to come down there and we're going to be there for you. Not a word. Not a word.
What and why do you? And of course, my suspicion is that probably the DuPonts are good donors to the Democratic Party and the DNC. I'm guessing. I don't know. We'll have to look into it. But or maybe just the Democrats are just that bad at politicians, or they don't understand when they're being handed a political gift like this. What do you think it is?
Well, follow the money. I think you're right. I haven't had that much time to look into it, but whether it's DuPont, their subsidiaries, they've all taken money from these companies over the years. And it's also the fact that, you can't blame Russia for this. They have their narrative now. They wrongly think they wrongly think it's going to cruise them to an electoral tidal wave in 2008 by going after Trump and Russia and this and that. But we just posted on our Facebook page a great statement from a mother here saying, I don't care about Russia. I want clean drinking water. And, I didn't really even prompt her to say that. I just asked, what do you think about the corporate media? I'm the only national media down here right now, which unfortunately that's how it is in a lot of these places. There's not a lot of national media. Fortunately, in this area, there is aggressive local media. But I've heard this from other people. They're just dumbfounded that in a country that has a widespread water epidemic. And by the way, it's a widespread corruption epidemic. Every single case, there's corruption involved with these decisions. So if you're not like particularly interested in like water and chemistry and science, I failed. I am interested in corruption. I am interested in public health. I am interested in injustice. And there's a tasty trio of all three in these cases. But at the very least, you would think the Democratic Party would, in their emails that they send out, might send out an email. We need answers from Scott Pruitt's EPA. By the way, this happened before Trump. So it's dumbfounding, and it's just going to keep happening. We're going to keep seeing this. And I said in reports, listen, I don't want to scare anybody, but you better find out what source you're getting your water from and what industries dump near those sources. Because the media is not going to report on that. Your politicians are certainly not going to tell you. It's on you to find out.
Yeah, I was amazed to watch that. I mean, they called a full-blown press conference. There had to be, it seemed like almost a dozen guys in suits from government agencies and corporations and the EPA, and you were the only national reporter in that room. While looking through this story, I also was reading more about what just happened in Flint with the prosecutions. And it was the biggest outbreak of Legionnaire's disease in the United States ever, and it barely got a blip on the national media. Now, if that would have happened and it didn't have anything to do with, why wouldn't the national media report the biggest outbreak of Legionnaire? I mean, they covered the Zika virus. Why wouldn't they cover that?
Well, Jimmy, I'm currently writing chapter 2 of my book, Corporate Con Job, available now for download at truthagainstthemachine.com. And it's on the Trump campaign. And I focus very little on Trump because, as you say, it's not about Trump. I focus on the conditions that allowed this buffoon to rise to become president. And the corporate media and their business profit motive, I call it the corporate media welfare industrial complex, they prop this man up. And that's why they don't cover the Legionnaires. That's why they don't cover the Gen X and these other things, because to them, a sugar high of ratings to keep them relevant and to keep them even existent. Younger viewers are fleeing in flocks to people like you, to people like me. So they need something. The advertisers need something to go for. So they're just looking for sugar high ratings. So they put in like some boxing music in their promos. Trump, Russia, tweets, all this scandal. And to them, it's not about like public health, public information, public advocacy. It's about ratings. It's about clicks, and it's about profits. And that's why they're not covering this. Also, it actually costs money to send reporters down to places like this to keep them there, rather than just put like idiot A in the left box of the screen, idiot B on the right box, and just have a fucking food fight for 4 minutes, which is what we see on CNN. I know TYT gets a lot of grief, but hey, at least Jank keeps sending me to these places. We're investing. All these videos do not go viral. I think eventually they will, because we're doing the right things, and eventually the audience sees that. But the bottom line is the corporate media puts profit over people, and it's going to kill people. Honestly, it's going to kill people. It already has.
It definitely already has. That's why we've seen those charges in Flint, right? 15 people have been charged in Flint so far. So, it's already killing people. Of course, the national news media doesn't really give a shit about any of that stuff, which is why they're all pro-war. So let's all remember that. Whenever we talk about the national news media, they're pro-war, and they don't give a fuck about you. So just remember, right? If they gave a fuck about you, they would have a reporter down there right now, and they would be talking about all the water pollution that's happening in the United States, like Jordan is doing. Right now, I'm afraid to drink water, and I live in frickin' Pasadena, California, because of the stuff that Jordan has uncovered. And right now, they know there's a chemical in the water that's going through the pipes in North Carolina, and the EPA, the mayor, and the state all say, I can't stop it. So corporations are literally running our country right now. By the way, corporations which are amoral, and all they want to do is extract wealth. And if it means poisoning you to do it, they'll poison you to do it. It doesn't make a difference to them. If it means blowing up people on the other side of the Atlantic, they don't care. They'll blow up anybody, kill anybody. That's already been proven right now in the national mainstream news media. While they're not covering this, they're pushing for World War III.
And Jimmy, one last thing, which I know will excite you. Just a reminder, folks, I know that everybody's worried about Trump taking a machete to the EPA. I am too. However, this, like Flint, like East Chicago, happened under Democratic President Barack Obama, who has done nothing. He did nothing in Flint other than drink filtered water for a photo op. He did nothing for East Chicago. And this information came out while he was still president.
So DuPont poisoning the water, EPA, mayor, and state won't do anything about it, and they're going to they're still poisoning that water today. They're going to be poisoning that water tomorrow. They're going to be doing it for the foreseeable future because there is no government agency that's stopping them, and if they don't have to stop, they won't, because their only loyalty, their only duty is to their stockholders. Just like politicians' only duty is to their donors, corporate officers' only duty is to their shareholders, and that's it. They don't care about who they have. As long as they get a quarterly profit and you get a dividend, they're going to get a raise and everything's going to be okay. So they don't care if this is obvious that they're being asked by the mayor to stop, and they're not doing it. So great reporting, Jordan. Now tell people about your book. What's it called?
Corporate Con Job: How the Mainstream Media Aids the Oligarchy. The introduction, chapter 1, is now available. If you go to truthagainstthemachine.com, click on the tab for Corporate Con Job. You can download it there. And if you're feeling generous, donate to yours truly.
So it's available for free to people to read, and they can make a donation. I read the first chapter in the introduction. It was wildly exciting to relive Bernie Sanders in New York City and to hear a real reporter critique the establishment media and how they covered that event was really still shocking and eye-opening and very relevant. So everybody go to truthagainstthemachine.com, check out that book, make a donation to our man doing the real deal reporting, Jordan Terry. Jordan, we look forward to having you on again, buddy. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jimmy. Take care.